You are watching Co-op for Two. I'm Jesse, and we are continuing our playthrough of Legacy of Dragonholt. It's day 7, the final day according to our tracking sheets. If you look, it only goes up to day 7, and here we are. And there's actually only 6 time on day 7. It says when time has passed in day 7, it's time for the Countess's Masquerade Ball. And you can look from this quest that they're wearing masquerade things. So it sounds like this quest may be after day 7. So it sounds like maybe day 7 is not going to include that quest, but be after it. That would be my guess. So that may mean day 7 we have as our last chance to just walk around the village and do stuff that we haven't done yet. Maybe we'll go to the library, which I feel bad about not going to. I really am sad that we missed the cat people. I think that sounds like it might have been this quest. The same thing with saving Philip. Maybe they were both in here. But all right. No matter. We're starting day 7 by reading 9739. 9739. Sometime in the hour or so before you wake, a brief but vigorous thunderstorm shakes the village, bringing blessed relief from the heat with it. You rise feeling quite refreshed, considering, then wash and dress before going downstairs. If story point J1 is marked, which it is not, otherwise read 3921. Okay, so it's not, so we read 3921. It's hard in these games to not feel like you're missing out on stuff by not having some of these marked. I mean, it's hard to know whether the game is set up so that you could only ever see half of them, but it's still an unpleasant feeling to read something like, if you had this, you would get this wonderful extra stuff that you don't know what it is. 3921. There you are, calls Celise as you reach the common room. She is seated at your regular table with a cup of wine in front of her. Her own breakfast looks untouched. You sit, and Sapphire delivers a fresh platter of whipped cream, blueberries, and steaming hot griddle cakes. Celise places a carefully written, folded note in front of you as you tuck in. It's your formal invitation to the Countess's Masquerade Ball tonight, she says. You'll have to put on a mask and eat all of Regina's best food and dance the night away for no reason at all. Not that terrible. She leans back in her seat, but you must come masked. Nobles take these things very seriously. What's the occasion? And then we can say, I don't have a mask to wear. I thought we did find a mask. Didn't we? I remember finding a mask. Don't you remember finding a mask? All right. What 8457? What's the occasion? Nominally, it's a celebration of the alliance of the three houses, meant to mark their triumph over some undead horde or another a few centuries ago. Celise flicks her fingers dismissively. I suppose that's how they justify it being a masquerade as well. Macabre costumes to remember the enemy. But of course it has little to do with that now, and is mostly an excuse to drink too much, eat lovely food, dance, and gossip with the other important people. She sighs. Did that sound cynical? I suppose it might. She twirls her wine in her glass and takes a sip. There's also the matter of the recent tragedies to befall the Fairfax family. So I imagine that, in addition to everything else, it will be a memorial for Sonia and Philip. And of course, that will be politicized too, while poor Rochelle and Regina will just be trying to grieve. Celeste shifts in her seat and turns to you. My goodness, I'm being maudlin. I promise I will not be as morose this evening. It will be a grand time, I promise. Read entry 1388. As she stands to go, Celeste leans in and grabs your arm. I think it's possible that Kirik will try something at the ball tonight. That's the evil uncle. Regina will have her guards there, but your presence would be more than welcome. I know I can count on you. Then she slips out of the swan and into the summer sun beyond. If story point A6 is marked, it is not. Otherwise, read 5791. You finish your breakfast and gather your things. As you do, you overhear Sapphire asking Jasper to go out to the market and fetch her a few things. Today is a special market day in honor of the Three Lords' Ball, she explains. It will be good for you to get used to the market street. And don't forget to buy mushrooms, even if you don't like them, our customers do. Full and refreshed, you step out into the bright summer sun. The encounter is complete. Okay? So still no time has passed. I'm inclined to go to the market, but we don't have any money. I wonder if we have to steal money. Let's go to Market Street, 5500. We have no money though. Dragonholt's Market Street is barely 100 yards long, a wide, partly cobbled lane that runs from the village green out toward the fields and farms that surround the town. Along the center of the street marches a line of trees, providing a number of convenient bows to which merchants might tie their tents and awnings when they set up their stalls. Okay, I'm going to skip the rest here because we go to day 7. The market row is full of carts and stalls, bright colors flashing in the breeze. Merchants and customers bustle in to and fro. You see stalls offering wool coats and blankets, a leather worker hard at work on straps and buckles, with her wares hanging all around her. A fishmonger shrieks an offer for salted fish, and a traveling butcher pushes past you with shanks of red meat dangling from a pole over his shoulder. Stalls groan with mounds of shiny red tomatoes and piles of melons in a variety of bright colors. A merchant wearing a priest's vestments offers bottles and casks of wine made by the poor brothers of Vindel's Vale. 2 cheese merchants, side by side, each proclaim their cheese is superior. Near the end of the row, a short man in a striped turban extravagantly touts his collection of potions and poultices beneath a sign reading Alamir's Elixirs. If point A7 is marked, it's not. Otherwise, 4963. As you browse the stalls, a young human man in a crushed velvet half-cape tumbles to the ground in front of you. He springs back to his feet and adjusts his cape carefully. I'll be expecting an apology, Belmont. You won't get one, Cunninghams, sneers an equally young human woman in a burgundy riding dress with a duelist sword at her side. You should have been watching where you were going. You glance around for guards, but the only ones you see are clear the other end of the market row and are not looking in your direction. We can steal some coins with thievery, which we don't have. We can attempt to break up this. Oh, it says Mark A7. Wow, that would have been easy to miss. That's a little sticky. Okay. Attempt to break up the dispute because we don't have money for the elixirs. So 1587. Don't think you scare me, Bryn, hisses the Cunningham boy. His own hands drop to the sword at his hip. I should, Albert, retorts the Belmont girl. They're both maybe 20 years old, at your best guess, but it's hard not to see them as spoiled children the way they're carrying on, albeit spoiled children armed with live steel. What is this about anyway? Asks Albert. Are you jealous that I'm going to be marrying the Fairfax heir and you're not? Ha, spits Bryn. Even if I believed you, I'd say good riddance to you both. She puts a hand on her sword. In fact, I might just say good riddance anyway. You step in and attempt to calm things down before they become violent. If you have persuasion skill, which we do, we can read 8620. Okay. Making an educated guess, you remind them both that they're in Dragonholt for the Countess's masquerade ball, and probably neither of them will be attending if they murder each other in the streets. You think I care about some stupid ball, sneers Albert, assuming a rather sloppy fencer's ready position. Bryn, on the other hand, slams her half-drawn sword back into its scabbard. No, that's a good point. My father won't thank me for making him spend the entire ball apologizing for your death. She smiles sweetly up at the much taller Albert and manages an extremely insouciant curtsy. My apologies, my lord. The error was entirely mine. Then she sashays off, leaving the Cunningham youth swallowing nervously. Stars above, I thought I was about to die, he says, deflating like an empty wineskin. Thank you for that, my friend. He staggers away, looking gray but unharmed. A few nearby merchants clap you on the shoulder and thank you. That could have been bad for business, one says. I'll tell the guards to keep an eye on those two. Mark 1, progress in heroism. Okay, well, we're almost up to there. Time passes. Okay. If 5 or less time has passed, 7285. Okay, 7285. Two guards in Fairfax livery walk past you and give you a nod. The crowd gives them a respectful distance as if they've recently seen the guards in action. We can browse the elixirs, try to steal some coins, or leave. Well, we've got no thievery, so we're not going to be stealing any coins, and we have no money to buy anything, although we would love some healing potions. So the entry is complete. Next, let's go to this library that we should have gone to a long time ago, maybe. I mean, we've been there once, but just in the beginning. I feel like maybe we should have gone. Library. 4 or less time has passed. 2505. The library's hall features a tall writing desk underneath a window set in the ceiling and 4 walls covered in shelves full of books. Perched atop a stool at the writing desk is a gray-robed, gray-haired human woman, spattered with ink, her quills scritching as she carefully copies out another letter. So we have different days. If it's day 72012. Okay. 2012. The librarian glances down at you from her perch, then reaches out one hand and pets the gray tabby cat sleeping on a pile of books at her side. Celise is in the archive, she says, nodding to the door behind her. So we can join Celise in the archives. We can research or study, ask if there's any work to be done, donate your collected books if we have K1. If we have K1, I don't think we have K1. We haven't found any books, no. Okay. If we do research or study, we're going to get marks in academic study, which doesn't help us because we're never going to get that completed. But we could join Celise. We could ask if there's any work. That will probably also get us points in academic study. So let's try joining Celise and see if she has anything interesting to tell us more about the ball. 7087. You make your way through the cramped shelves of the archives and find Celise sat quietly, comfortably in a leather-padded chair, a book in her lap, and more books strewn about all around her. You found me, she says without looking up. I couldn't abide all the commotion at the manor today, so I'm hiding here. If J1 is marked, J1 is not marked, otherwise 9568. Celise holds up a single finger. Before I forget, she says, then stands and rummages through her bag hanging from the hook over her chair. Here it is. She turns toward you, revealing a mask fashioned of painted leather to resemble a crescent moon. It looks quite expertly made. You gain the moon mask. Item H. Okay, so we found our mask for the ball. That's good. Here it is. Let's look. The moon mask. Elegantly crafted mask was given to you by Celise. Okay, thank you. Not sure what we need it for, but we'll take it. Celise returns to her seat and picks up her book once more. If you don't mind, I'm not too much in the mood for company at the moment. She pauses to take a drink from the goblet balanced on a table near her. The masquerade ball will be rather draining, so I'd like to just sit and read quietly. You can join me if you promise to be quiet. So we can sit quietly and read, or leave her to her studies. I mean, let's read. Why not? I don't know what the point is, but only because the other option is for time to pass. So it seems like whatever we do, time's going to pass. So 5, 4, 8, 6. Sorry, this is 9, 5, 6, 8. And then we've got 5, 4, 8, 6. All right. You find an interesting book titled Folk Tales of the Fairy People and settle in to read. The book is a collection of fanciful tales from a variety of sources, curated with the patronizing indulgence of an educated uncle addressing his backwater nieces and nephews. One particularly arresting tale describes the second fall of the elves and the rise of darkness in the world, attributing to that time the appearance of humans, gnomes, orcs, and other races. The author describes the descent of each of these races from some animal touched by elven or demonic magic. Orcs, for example, the author claims, are kind to the great gray juggernauts of the southern lands, made a mockery of humankind by demonic taint, while gnomes are described as the rabbit of the burrow and the squirrel of the tree, brought to lively life and laughter by the singing of the elves. Humans are not mentioned at all, and the text shifts tone and subject so rapidly you suspect that a large portion has been removed or even censored. Clearly, the details herein are not free from bias. You're reading too loud, says Celise as you turn the page in perfect silence. And anyway, those stories are perfect drivel. Okay, mark 1, progress in academic study, and time passes. Okay, so it's a little sort of political commentary by the author saying these books on orcs being evil are drivel. Whatever. Did we mark our time? I don't think we did. So there's another time marked. It's hard to remember to mark time and seems kind of important. All right. Where else might we go? I don't remember being to the village hall in a while. Let's try there. 5100. The village hall is easily the largest building in the town, a tall edifice of pale gray stone with peaked windows of glass at regular intervals. The main entrance is a pair of heavy oak doors, standing at the top of a short but broad stone stair and flanked by a pair of columns. If 5 or less time, we go to day 7. A small group of humans is clustered around the town clerk in the center of the common hall. A young man with dark skin and a cap of dense curls holds hands with an equally young woman whose cheeks are round and red like apples. One by one, they sign a book held by the town clerk, who then brings the book around to the people on either side, who you realize are the families of the young couple in the center. Did the ceremony out on the farm last night, the girl's big, gray, grizzled father explains as he signs. I'd have to make it official, you know? Consider dropping by the shrine and getting Scala's blessing, suggests the clerk, closing his book. The father makes a non-committal grunt. Not sure I want an orc blessing my daughter's union. No offense intended to anyone. Father, sighs the girl, leading her family out and past you, could you be any more of a hidebound bigot? So more of the game telling us not to be bigoted against orcs. The message board informs you in elegant calligraphy that the Countess's annual masquerade ball is tonight. It also reminds you, if such reminder were necessary given the noise and the crowds, that a special market is held today in its honor. You see an announcement of celebration tonight on the village green for those not attending the ball, and another notice proclaims the good news of what you presume is the wedding you just witnessed. Finally, there is a note from Scala suggesting that everyone take a moment to visit the shrine and seek peace. The encounter is complete. Really wants us to go to the shrine. Did we not go tonight? 2790. The shrine. If it's day 5, if it's day 7 and one or more time has passed, which it has, 1 or 2 time has passed, it has 2 time, read 7540. It's exactly 2 time has passed, so we just were able to do that. 7540. Let's see. The dwarf baker, Grisbeck, and his daughter Penny are kneeling before the pool in the center of the shrine. Scala, the orc shrine attendant, approaches and places a lit candle before them, then walks off to tend to the garden. The dwarves seem lost in thought. So we can spend some time in quiet meditation, or we can approach Grisbeck and Penny. Let's do that. 3547. What would be great is if we can give this doll to someone. You step up behind Grisbeck and cough quietly to announce your presence. He startles and twists about to peer up at you. If story point Q5 is marked, it's not. Otherwise, read 2119. Please tell me your daughter wants a doll. It's the anniversary of my wife's death, explains Grisbeck in a hoarse whisper. If you don't mind, we'd like to be alone. He turns back to the pool and bows his head. So we could spend some time in quiet meditation, 3196, or we could leave and time would pass, so we might as well meditate. So 3196. You settle yourself on a rock by the pool's edge and open yourself to the experience. As you meditate, Scala silently places the candle before you, lights it, and shuffles away. You watch the candle burn down, listening to the murmuring of the spirits. Mark 1, progress in spiritual meditation. That's fine. We would need 1 more and we'd be able to learn a new thing, which would be nice. If I7 is marked, it's not. Otherwise, time passes and the encounter is complete. Well, it's too bad. If we had gotten 1 more spiritual meditation. Okay, time passes. It's now the afternoon. Okay, so however, the wife has died of the baker. That's the baker, right? So I'm thinking maybe we go to the bakery. Maybe she wants the doll. 6,800. The bakery has a warm and cozy storefront featuring a counter with various baked goods on display and a few tables and chairs. If 5 or less time, okay, so it's still open. Day 7. A sign on the door reads, "Sorry, we're closed," in both the Common and Dunwar scripts. The smell of baking bread still wafts from the building, however. If 2 or more time has passed, which it has, 7807. Through the glass windows, you can see Grisbeck, the dwarf baker, and his daughter Penny working on their masks for tonight's ball. One entire table is covered with materials and both dwarves and daubed, covered with materials and both dwarfs and daubed with paint about the face and fingers. Both dwarves are daubed with paint about the face and fingers. If story point Q5, really, it's not marked? Otherwise, it's complete. All right, whatever. I thought she was going to want that doll, but Q5 is not marked. All right, and we can't go, I think we checked before that 1590, there is no way to leave the village on the 7th day, nothing happening. It's afternoon. Let's go visit Miriam at the Apothecary, 6300, see if she's got anything to tell us, although we have no money to buy our stuff. 5 or less time has passed. Read the entry below for the 7th day. Inside the shop, Miriam stands talking to a gray-haired woman by a rack of potions and dried herbs. Be with you in a moment, she calls, then goes back to her conversation. A few other customers browse her shelves. It seems that Miriam's new business is succeeding. After a moment, the gray-haired woman pays for a small package, and Miriam rushes back to her counter with to help the next customer. Read 7699. The shop smells of warm herbs, with a metallic tang lurking beneath. Miriam gives you a friendly wave from her place by the counter as you look through the racks of potions, elixirs, raw ingredients, and supplies. So we can purchase some potions. We can offer Miriam a mushroom or dragon blood. We can do something or leave the shop. Nothing to do here. Okay. Let's go to the Swan, 7400. I mean, we've got 3 more time today, and nothing really to do. It's the 7th day. A cluster of nobles' servants gossip and toast one another near the door, wearing livery of a host of nearby noble families. Merchants and travelers from afar recline at the various tables, sipping cider and hiding from the heat of the day in the common room's relative cool. How long have you had a cat? Jasper asks Sapphire as he walks past you. I don't, to my knowledge, she says, then turns to watch Malachite chase a small calico cat screeching out the front door. Oh, good, she says. I don't anymore. Read entry 7049. The Swan is as pleasant and homey as ever. Sapphire and Jasper talk at a table near the kitchen, she sewing and he poring over a leather-bound ledger and a few loose leaves of paper on the table before them. When she sees you, she waves you and beckons you over. We can get something to eat. What's our current stamina? We've got $10 in gold, and our stamina is maxed out, so there's little point in that. We can ask about someone or something. We can ask her to craft us magical armor if we had the rune, or we could just pass time. All right, let's ask about someone or something. 2282. Well, I've lived here a few years now, says Sapphire while tying off a thread. I think I know Dragonholt and its residents pretty well. What did you want to know? Okay, so we can question about someone, ask if we recommend anywhere, and what is there to do. And we're going to ask about someone, 1514. In fact, I wonder if we should have been doing this before. Quite a few characters in this village. What do you want to know about? Okay, so we can ask about Cunninghams. We can ask about herself if we have empathy. The Belmont family. I guess we're going to ask about some of these people. Let's ask about the Belmont family, 7256. So a chance to learn about these people. Oh, the Belmonts are a large and powerful family, well, powerful by local standards, I suppose. Lord Leon Belmont is the ruler of Ruston County, which is just across the grasslands to the east. Sapphire pulls a few more stitches, thinking, then continues, I think I recall something about the Belmonts marrying into the Fairfax line a while back. That must have been Lord Holland's wife, then, who was a Belmont. Of course, Regina has no Belmont blood, so I imagine they're trying to marry back in this generation. Maybe that's why Belmont's daughter Bryn is a frequent visitor. Remember, we met Bryn on the road fighting swords. 6740. So then we can ask about someone in Dragonholt again. Let's ask about the Cunninghams, 1530. The Cunninghams are an odd bunch, says Sapphire. They're the lords of Haverford County. On the other side of the river to the south, Lord Osric is count at the moment, but by all accounts, he leaves most of the actual ruling to his wife while he focuses on his pets and his other projects. The Cunninghams all seem to have something or another they would rather do than be proper nobility. Osric's father was the best painter in the barony in his day, but his family was nearly penniless when Osric finally married some rich merchant's girl. I hear she is she is the sharp political mind in the family. Sapphire chuckles. They're amiable enough, though. Lord Osric's pet drake is a funny little monster. He swears he doesn't breathe fire, but people still break out the buckets of sand whenever he brings the beast around. 6740, which is going to be, again, the thing where we can ask more about people. Who else could we ask about? Sonia Fairfax, 8415. These all don't take any time. Sapphire looks away and sighs. Oh, Sonia, she really was a darling young woman. She was thoughtful. She was studious, compassionate. I used to play cards with her. She was sharp once. She learned the rules. Sapphire smiles at some memory and looks back at you. She always helped in the kitchen come harvest time. It's such a shock that she died so young and in a fall from her horse, no less. She was a devoted equestrian. I don't know that there was a better rider in the whole village. Again, more evidence that she was pushed off. I thought we reported Gowan, but they didn't seem to do anything about it. Sapphire sets down her needlework and raises a small sparkling glass of what you presume is cider. To Sonia Fairfax, she would have been a splendid countess. She throws back a small mouthful and sets her drink aside. Okay, we could ask about Celise. 1002. I mean, this is getting a little tiring. It's just saying, okay. Oh, yes, Celise comes to the Swan from time to time for lunch. Proper woman. She's always organized. She was going to the Chetty Archer with a cloak. Almost didn't recognize her. She doesn't go to the bars. It's a bit odd when I think about it. Until then, I've never seen her going to either of the taverns in the village. Can't blame her. Shakes off the tangent. I haven't seen her in a while, but if you're looking for her, I would check the library or the shrine. Okay. All right, let's do I'm going to do the last one. I'm going to ask about Lady Regina Fairfax since we're going to their ball tonight, and then that's it. Lady Regina, she's a bit of a scandalous figure, even so she's our scandalous figure. We read this before. Okay, so we're done here talking to her. We could ask about a place. Let's see, what were the other things we'd ask about? What is there to do? Anywhere we'd recommend? Have we done the anywhere to recommend? Let's see what she says to that. 1582. How's the market? Any taverners? Where do they spend their most time? How did you come to own the Swan? Five, 7, 5, 5. Okay, sorry, I should read this. I'm getting a little short here. Well, the very best place to visit is the Swan, of course. Sapphire laughs. But other than that, well, what do you want to know? And then we could say, well, how did you come to own the Swan? 5755. Because all the other places are a little bit boring. Let's just ask her a little bit about herself. Sapphire lifts the sewing project in her lap by way of answer. I used to be a tailor, made a good tidy sum that way. Then I came to Dragonholt and decided to stay. A human woman used to own this place. Hetty, her name was. Well, her children were grown and her daughter married in Caram's Cross, so she wanted to get she wanted to get out of the innkeeping business and go spoil her grandchildren. So I bought the Swan from her. Got a good deal, some money up front, sending the rest to her in monthly installments for the first few years. Had enough left over to help pay for a little remodeling, make the place feel a little more like home. Sapphire shrugs. The village was reluctant at first. They liked Hetty and didn't know who I was, but every gnome who passed through, they stayed with me, and bit by bit the village warmed up. Why, by now you'd never know I wasn't born here. She winks. Don't know what they'll do when I eventually move on. All right, that's it. We want to leave. We're done. It says time passes. Okay, we're in evening now. Where else would we like to go? Where haven't we been in a while? Guard station 5230. I feel like it's night. Are they going to be there? 6259. If 4 or more time has passed, 7634. The lantern-jawed guard, with more good looks than, well, really anything else, Decon, is admiring his reflection in the blade of his sword. Oh, he says, noticing you. How can I help you? Request to use the training ground or leave. Okay, so we're just leaving. The smithy. We could help. There's nothing much there. Willow Grove. I mean, maybe it's our last chance to look at some of these places. Surely there's not anything to do here at night. 1370 if it's some other day. We've been here before, that's why I'm not really reading it. So we can head to the mind or it's done. All right, so there's nothing up there. Let's do the same thing with these other places. We're sort of tying up loose ends. 1260 Northern Road. This was another quest that we completed. If B3, B5, or U3 are checked, well, they are. So read 4930. We can travel to the crypt, which we already did. So that's complete. Eastern Road, 1810. If it's day 6 or day 6 is okay. We can't even go there. Day 7, that's the dragon. So if we missed it, we missed it. Let's go to Fairfax Manor. We're a little early, but maybe we can gain some information by going early. 4 or less time has passed. It has. We can read the end. Day 7. You hear a great commotion from within the manor hall as you approach and find the door hanging ajar. Clearly, the manor staff is hard at work preparing for tonight's ball. If 3 or less time, then we could do something. We could talk to them, but it's not 4, so it's not accepting visitors. Encounter is complete. Okay. Let's go to the Countess Inn. Day 7. The Countess Inn seems to have been overtaken by nobles and their retinues, with the usual patrons nowhere to be seen. Ursula still sits at her regular table, but now she is flanked by human nobles on either side. To her left sit the Cunninghams, tall, fair, distractible Lord Osric and his shorter, darker, formidable Lady Elena. To Ursula's right sits Count Leon Belmont, all roundness and bluster and bushy red beard. Various servants, attendants, children, and kin cluster around the room at their own tables, all eyeing the table beneath the painted tree with interest. So we get something to eat. We do have 5 gold, but we're at full stamina, so that being pointly. Deliver the letter to Ursula, which wants O3 and K8. I believe we've already done this. So this wants K8 not to be marked. Yeah, so we've already done that one. But we can mingle with the nobles, 6062. Let's learn more about these two, Belmonts and Cunninghams. 6062. I'm going to actually make a little note here. There's Cunninghams, and then there's Belmonts. And we were asking Sapphire about it. I forget, the Cunninghams want to marry in for politics, and I think the Belmonts for money. And Cunninghams are tall, fair. These are sort of the pretty ones. And then the Belmonts is round, and this was the artists. Okay, just in case that's important. 6062, we're going to mingle with the nobles and see if we can't learn anything. The assembled nobles accept your presence, and perhaps because Ursula seems to respect you, their conversation continues with or without your input. So we can ask about Cunningham trade relations, Belmont family history, or the regional partnership. Otherwise, time passes. Okay, so let's go through this. Let's start with the trade relations. 5480. Oh, Elena handles most of that, draws Lord Osric. Thankfully, says Elena, we have good relations with the Dragonholt. We keep our tariffs low between the counties, and our merchants trade Haverford cheese, leather, and beer for Dragonholt apples, cider, and wood. And Rostam Stone, puts in Lord Leon. Yes, your quarry is very nice, says Elena, when it's running. Small labor shortage is all, mutters Leon. These oaths will tell you that their blood oaths and history keep our counties friendly, says Elena. I say it's trade. Let trade flow and peace will reign. Okay, so that was the Cunninghams, so these are the traders. And she's suggesting they don't need to be married. Like she's saying, people tell you that blood oaths and history keep them friendly. He says all about trade. Okay. Then it tells us to go back, 6062. Okay, now let's ask about Belmont family history, 6881. We Belmonts have a proud lineage, boasts Lord Leon, dating back to the Rose Knight himself, a younger son of one of the Pennicore kings, but which one will never say, sneers Elena. That's rich, coming from a common-born merchant's daughter, rumbles Leone. Oh, that's right, I forgot that one's birth is the only thing that matters, says Helena. Not now, murmurs Osric. You're both pretty. Ursula snorts, then covers with a sip of tea. I believe you were discussing your family's history, my lord. Yes, we've been defenders of the realm for generation, always standing firm against the enemies of Terranoth. He frowns at Elena again. Some might suggest that order is kept through trade, but in fact it is strength at arms and the loyalty of those swords that keep the peace. And no one is stronger or more loyal than House Belmont. Okay, so the Belmonts are all about loyalty and defense of the realm. Okay. And then back to 6062. Ask about the regional partnership 8233. All three counties have been united for generations, says Ursula. Since the days of Countess Priscilla Belmont of Rostam, says Lord Leon. She led the three counties in the defeat of the Raven Horde. I think you'll find it was Countess Igraine's white sorcery that broke the magic of the Raven Peace and saved us all, says Osric. I was told that it was Count Alex Fairfax of Dragonholt who orchestrated the alliance, says Ursula. God save us from nobles and their pride, groans Elena. You're a noble now, dear, says her husband. She's certainly prideful enough, harangues Leon. 6062. All right, so we're back to 6062. And 6062, we've exhausted all the things we can listen in on. And we just have to let a time pass now. So time passes. All right, we've got one more time, and then it's the end of day 7 and time for the masquerade ball. So is there anywhere else to go? The Drunken Hog is open at night. Let's go there. 3,500 Drunken Hall. 5 or more time. Yes. Day 7. The common room is crammed too full of people and their smells and stories. An old human man with fewer teeth than fingers and fewer fingers than the usual allotment is telling a loud and somewhat cruel story to judge by the jeers that accompany it. From the way he brandishes his pipe in the general direction of a sweaty-looking human man wearing the livery of a noble's servant, one of the visiting noble families is the butt of the joke. Read 3157. All the regulars seem to be in place. Thelga behind the bar, Reginald propping it up, Norman enduring, Reginald's drunken ramblings. The crowd in the Drunken Hog is as noisy and anonymous as ever, so I can eat, drink, and engage in banter for 5, which I'm not going to do. We did that before, or the encounter is complete. Okay. Anywhere else to go? Everything's going to be closed. We've only got 10 gold. We could go to the market and try to steal some money. Swan, Chatty Archer. Let's go to the Chatty Archer. We can't go. I'd love to. I was going to say we could go pray and get some more, but we can't really. 6,500. 4 more time. It's open. Day 7. A stout human woman with her white hair and 2 pronounced buns on the side of her head stands at a table, boasting in a loud voice about her many hunting and fishing triumphs to a mostly younger audience. Judging from the incredulous looks on the faces of the onlookers, she is exaggerating her prowess more than a little. 6232. Hunter nods at you as you enter. Goes back to cleaning his bar. Theodore says it reminds him of a story. We don't want to hear that, so we're leaving. I think that might be it. Market Street. We can always go back to the Swan and just stay at our room. So I think that might be what we do. 5,500. Let's just make sure the market's not. I mean, we guess we have a bit of gold. Market Street, day 7. The story point A7 is marked, which it is. We've read this before. I think this is just to keep us from doing this twice. 7285. Yeah. Okay, well, we could attempt to steal some coins, but we don't have thievery. Let's go to Alamir's elixirs just for fun and see what we can get for $10. Okay, so he says buy the potion for the price $35.80. Attempt to negotiate a better price. We know we can't get anything better. Let's see what happens if we try to negotiate a better price and then we can't afford it. Persuasion 5634. All right. Well, it says mark 1. We negotiate him down. Mark social progress, which we were already maxed out, and then it says time passes. So that forces us to end our day. Read entry 6882. So it's the end of day 7. That was a bit exhausting. Not much happening. 6882. We couldn't find anyone to give the doll to. Somewhere a bell rings, and music begins to drift through the evening. Villagers and nobles wearing their finest clothes emerge from the inns and taverns and homes of the village and begin to stream toward the manor house. The masquerade ball has begun. This encounter is complete. Read entry 1006 in the Paper Faces quest book. All right. Well, that's a good time and place to stop. We've ended the final day in Dragonholt Village, and we're in what looks like the end of the game. Our last quest, the longest quest here, called Paper Faces. You can tune in for the next episode to watch me play through that. Maybe the last episode, but maybe there'll be something after it. And I will see you there.